Hello, and a very warm welcome to Dodger's Trips. I'm Dodger, and I'm on my way to Les Invalides, where Napoleon's tomb can be seen. Pardon, monsieur, Les Invalides. That way. Thank you. Right, so we've got directions. Head diagonally across the square. So the march of the Grande Armée continues as we go to the tomb of the Emperor Napoleon. Now, when I was reading the website of the museum, it did say you can't take cameras in with tripods or selfie sticks. I looked on the website again last night, but I couldn't see anything referring to that. So whether I can get in, I might have to dismantle everything and just take the GoPro in my hand, freehand, and do it that way. We'll see. Right, we're confident to say that we've found Les Invalides. Invalide as in invalid, because it was built as a hospital. That police car. Yeah, so the Les Invalides was built as a army hospital for the disabled, wounded and old soldiers, and part of it is still used for that purpose now, even though it's the army museum, houses the army museum. Yeah, so the frontage of the museum gardens is built almost like a fortress, and this is replicating a moat. But I'm looking forward to in here. I just hope I can film. But there's a museum of occupation, resistance. There's a museum about or a section of the museum about the first consul Napoleon, a whole section on him. So hopefully it's going to be good. Beautifully kept. Topiary, is it? The shaping of hedges. Very nice. So I'm here in the inner courtyard, the Musée de l'Armée, the Golden Dome. So Napoleon's tomb is beneath that. I don't know if you can make it out, but just beneath the Golden Dome, go down, and the other arched entryway or exitway just above the statue of Napoleon. We'll go and walk a little bit closer and have a look at that. So here we are beneath the clock. Emperor Napoleon, very dark figure with a dark, stood back in the dark of the arch, so maybe you can't see it that clearly. No idea what time it is, but he's there with famous pose, telescope in his right hand, his left hand tucked into his waistcoat. He's got his sword and he's got all his decorations, but the overcoat. Maybe on an evening this is illuminated. Looks like you can get quite close there. There's somebody come out of that side entrance, so I look forward to doing that if I can, if I've still got my camera in my possession. But what a grand, beautiful courtyard this is. Immaculately kept. Right, we'll find the ticket office and hope we can get away with the camera. So the storm clouds hover over Europe once again as I'm making my way to the Dome, the first part of the tour of the Army Museum. The entrance full price was €15, and I've purchased an audio guide for an extra €5 too, which is like a telephone with an earpiece. So it said the first part of the tour is to come into the Dome. I'm guessing is this huge building here before I return to where I bought my tickets and continue the tour. So I've entered the area of the Dôme, looking up the gold ceiling. 360 degrees of paintings. Walking in here, I got goosebumps. It's a bit like when I first started to see locations I recognised at the Waterloo battlefield. It's the same sort of feeling, excitement, but nervousness as well. So this is sort of going to be looking down on the tomb, I suspect. So there it is. The tomb of Napoleon. So much larger than I thought as well. And I believe there are coffins within coffins within coffins, a little bit like a Russian doll. I'm not sure if there's 5 coffins inside each of the 7 coffins. I'll put that on the screen if I look that up when I get home. But here we have Napoleon the First, the scourge of Europe, the winner of so many victories, and also the founding father of a lot of what remains the French Constitution, based around the principles of the Revolution. When we look at on the floor surrounding his tomb, there are the names of his famous victories: Marengo, the Pyramids, Rivoli, Austerlitz, Iéna. That's what I can see from this side. Magnificent. I believe Napoleon was reinterred here from St Helena, where he had been banished after Waterloo, and where he died in 1821. He'd been buried close to the grounds of Longwood House, which was his prison, I guess, open prison on St Helena. And he was brought here at the bequest of King Louis Philippe in 1840. Surrounded with columns, angels. Words fail me actually. It's very, very, very weird to think that I'm actually here. I've always wanted to come here as long as I've wanted to go to visit the Waterloo battlefield, so it seems poignant and also a good full stop to that journey. I would like to go to London and visit Apsley House and the Wellington Arch, and also Westminster Abbey, to see the tomb of Wellington. Maybe that's a trip for the future. But as I make my way around, you can see more victories, the names of the Battle of Moscow, Battle of Wagram. So we can get lower down. Going to take a break from the tomb, and we'll just look at what else. This was originally a royal chapel before it became part of the hospital for the veterans. What the guide is telling me that this building became known as the Temple of Mars, so Mars, the god of war. And then Napoleon I had it made into the theme of the glory of the French nation, the French army. In 1800, on the orders of Napoleon, the first military burial took place here. Marshal Turenne, which is the white statues memorial that you can see immediately across from the circular open area. Turenne was a great war leader during the era of King Louis XIV, and they've depicted him here like almost as a mythological figure from the past. Immediately across where I'm from, the Turenne Memorial, is this memorial to Vauban. He was well known for building fortifications and forts along the French border. The figure leaning on the pile of books in the centre above the tomb is Vauban. Now, his heart was originally buried here, not his body. After Napoleon was interred here, this newer, larger memorial was built. The books represent his work through his life, his writings, and he holds in his hand a compass, which is a nod to his architectural design abilities. The four corners of the Dôme building also house tombs. This one, Joseph, Napoleon I's eldest brother. We're also going to see the tomb of Jerome Bonaparte, Napoleon's younger brother. Jerome we heard about at Waterloo for leading the assaults, the field assaults at Hougoumont Farm. So there we have it, Joseph Bonaparte. Each of these separate corners of the dome has a dome of its own with the paintings 360. Going to go into this next corner. This is the tomb of Marshal Foch. Famous Avenue Foch.
So one of the things
that leads from the Arc de Triomphe. Marshal Foch, he died in 1929. Leader during the First World War. Got the military tableau on the sides, and the horses pulling the artillery. Marshal Foch, 1851 to 1929. A representation of his body, sword in hand, being carried by 8 French soldiers, heads bowed. And in this corner we have Marshal Lyautey, 1854 to 1934. And I'm afraid I don't know anything about Lyautey. Entering the chapel, Saint Jerome, and the tomb, Jerome Napoleon. Beautiful gold work. A great deal of thanks to him that he failed to take Hougoumont Farm at Waterloo. They brought to an end the reign of the first consul, Napoleon I. Of course, Napoleon, throughout his life, gave the thrones of Europe to his family members. And that's something that I need to read more about what happened to his family members after Napoleon went into his final exile. But for the time being, the tomb of Jerome. Into the major dome itself, which beneath lies Napoleon I. I'm going to head down into the crypt area now. Get a closer look. So we've looked at Moscow and Wagram, this Freeland, and back to Vienna and Auschwitz. I wonder how often that gets dusted. I think it is quite helpful that the first part of the museum is to come into the Great Dome and see Napoleon's tomb. I think left to choice I'd probably leave it to the end, but it's good that I've seen it now and access to the crypt. And now I can, maybe it's capacity limited. There seems to be a bit of a queue. Or a group tour maybe. Put behind the guided tour there, so this is how I've been on the way down to the crypt. They've gone down, so I'll give them a bit of a head start off the move on sharpish. It is my wish that my ashes may repose on the banks of the Seine, in the midst of the French people who I have loved so well. The ashes don't mean ashes literally, it just means the body of Napoleon who wished to be buried in the centre of Paris. Walking the steps down into the crypt now. Let's just take a walk around. There's all these marble reliefs along the wall.
Her, but if the wife thinks her husband is, she has that.
This part of the crypt is known as the cellar, and there's a figure representative of Napoleon at his coronation. Buried at his feet, his son, Napoleon II, King of Rome, 1811 to 1832. Walls, marble walls, famous battles. A bouquet bay is there, Jaffa. Smolensk, Moscow, Lutzen, Oslo. So he's like overseeing his own tomb. In a way. You were either facing onto that, you would imagine the head of the tomb. So Napoleon's son was originally buried in Vienna, and it was on Hitler's orders in 1940 that his body was brought back to be interred here, at the feet of his father. In 1940, 100 years after Napoleon was first interred here. One last look at the tomb. before we leave the Dôme building. Just can't explain how much larger it is than I was expecting actually. I was thinking that, you know, sarcophagus, is that the correct term for this, where a coffin body is within a coffin within a coffin within a coffin. It was going to be much smaller. I thought it was going to be like human size, but of course Napoleon and his deeds maybe warranted something so much larger than this. I did read about when he was on St. Helena, and I think it was Bertrand who went with him, and Napoleon said to him one time, he said, "I know you've only come here because you thought you could be my friend, become my friend, but," he said, "I cannot have friends. I always have to be at the centre." And at the centre now, forever. In a way, when you're down at the crypt, you have to kind of look up. You're looking upwards at him, not looking down, which I guess again is symbolic. So, farewell, Napoleon I. He journeyed from fields of Belgium to here in the centre of Paris, where he got his wish in the end, to be buried by the River Seine. Apparently there was an attack against King Louis Philippe I in July 1835 in Paris. The attack failed, but it killed 18 people. A state funeral was held at Les Invalides, and the families of the victims were allowed to bury their dead here. These are the innocent victims, bystanders of an assassination. No public access, but interesting, right down there. Secret rooms. Marble relief here on the left, just as you enter the tomb. Actually is a representation of where Napoleon was originally buried on St. Helena, with the iron railings around his tomb. That grave site can still be visited if you're so inclined to travel all the way into the South Atlantic to St. Helena. So we're just coming away from the tomb building and a little, very, very small gift shop area, and you can buy a model of the tomb, of the coffin, should you wish. This is like the back of the building, and again the beautiful gardens, landscaped, symmetrical gardens. So we're now going to find another part of the museum to go in now, back into where we bought a ticket. And we're going to see more modern day history, I guess.